Your mind, my mind, all of our minds, they're basically running on software that we never get to see. But what if you could? I mean, what if you could actually look at the code behind your own thoughts, your habits, your interactions? Well, that's exactly what we're going to do today.
You know that feeling, right? When you do something and you have no idea why, or you see these weird patterns in yourself and in other people that just don't seem to make any sense. I'm telling you, you're not imagining it. There are these hidden scripts running in the background all the time, shaping pretty much everything we do.
And here's the cool part. Once you actually understand the rules, you get the power to rewrite them. We're about to dig into the hidden logic behind everything, from our most private, quiet habits to our most public, social lives. So, let's get started.
First things first, we've got to turn the lens inward. I mean, before we can even try to figure out the world out there, we have to understand the patterns that are playing out when absolutely no one is watching. Why are you the way you are? Let's find out.
You know, most of us see a quiet person and we just slap a label on them. Shy, uninterested, stuck up. But psychology tells a way deeper story. See, they're not quiet because they have nothing to say. They're quiet because their minds are just processing everything. It's like they're living in two worlds at once. The loud, crazy external world and this incredibly rich, analytical internal one. And for a lot of them, silence was actually a survival strategy they learned. Their brain figured out that being unnoticed meant being safe. And a side effect of that, they become masters of observation, catching all the little clues and patterns that the rest of us just completely miss.
Okay, so that's quiet people. But what about a totally different kind of private habit? I'm talking about a complete reversal of the world's clock. The night owls. We've all heard them get dismissed as lazy or undisciplined, but again, there is a fascinating psychological code running underneath it all.
Being a night owl is not some character flaw. It's just a different wiring. There's this term psychologists use, cognitive hyperarousal, which is a fancy way of saying their brain literally kicks into high gear when the world finally gets quiet. That's when their creativity peaks, when unstructured thinking leads to these amazing original ideas. It's almost like a natural resistance to social conditioning. They're not trying to follow the 9-to-5 rhythm because it feels totally unnatural to them. The night is their sanctuary. It's where they can emotionally recover from all the chaos of the day.
And this brings us to the ultimate private habit, right? The love of just staying home. And it's not just about being comfortable, it's about being in control. Let's face it, the outside world can be chaotic, it can be draining. Home, though, home is a fortress of safety and stability. For so many people, this quote just hits the nail on the head. I feel safer where no one can hurt or drain me. It's a very conscious choice to protect your own energy and your psychological well-being.
Okay, so we've looked inward. Now let's step outside and see how these psychological codes play out when we actually have to interact with other people. This is where the rules get even more interesting. And honestly, the stakes get a whole lot higher.
So on this slide, you can see this really stark contrast between two ways of being in the world. On one side, you have true social intelligence. And this isn't about being an extrovert, it's about being able to read the unspoken emotions in a room and adapt without being fake. These people, they disagree to understand, not just to win. But then you have the other side, manipulative traits. Here, charm is just a performance, a tool to get something. There's no real remorse, just manipulation for control and personal gain. One mind builds connection, the other one just exploits it.
But here's the thing. Social dynamics are rarely that black and white, are they? Between that genuine connection and just overt manipulation, there is this huge gray area. And that is the world of dark psychology. These subtle techniques of influence that operate just below our conscious radar. And trust me, they're used way more often than we think.
So let me break down a few common tactics. You'll start seeing these everywhere once you know what to look for. First up, powerful silence. It's amazing how uncomfortable people get with a pause. They will rush to fill it. If you just stay calm and silent, you instantly project control. Second, delay your reaction. Just a 1-second pause before you answer a question. It builds this little bit of tension and makes whatever you say next seem way more important. And third, scarcity. Think about it. If you're always available, your time feels cheap. By being less available, you trigger this deep psychological bias we all have. We're hardwired to want what we can't easily get.
So, influence, validation, control. Where is the #1 battleground for all of this stuff today? Come on, you know the answer. Online, in the digital world, our brains are being subtly rewired every single day.
Seriously, think about it. That mindless scroll, that muscle memory that opens the app, that's not an accident. Your brain isn't really looking for entertainment, it's looking for proof. Proof that you exist, that you matter, that you're seen. Every single like, every comment is a tiny little hit of dopamine that temporarily answers that subconscious question, am I okay? Am I still relevant?
And this leads to a pretty dangerous process. It's called identity conditioning. Your brain, because it's so smart, starts keeping score. It learns which version of you gets the most likes, the most comments, the most approval, and it starts performing as that person more and more often. And the risk? The big risk is you slowly lose touch with who you actually are. And instead, you become the character you play online.
This visual just nails the problem, doesn't it? That external validation, the likes, the comments, it's totally volatile. It's like living on a diet of cotton candy. It comes and goes, and it creates this crazy emotional roller coaster. But internal validation, your own deep sense of self-worth, that's stable. That's the bedrock. And the more you rely on that first bar, the weaker your whole foundation becomes.
So what about the people who choose to stay offline, or at least limit their time there? It is not about being insecure. In fact, it is often the exact opposite. They tend to have really strong intrinsic self-worth. They don't need an audience to feel valid. They'd rather be observers than performers. They get that every post invites judgment, and they choose to protect their psychological safety by controlling their emotional state. They've cracked a crucial part of the modern code. Visibility does not equal value.
Okay, so we've decoded the patterns. We've seen the hidden rules. Now, for the most important part, how do we use all this awareness to take back control and actually rewrite our own code? This is where awareness turns into action. Most of us think that improvement is about adding more stuff, right? More discipline, more goals, more effort. But what if the opposite is true? What if the most powerful growth doesn't come from addition at all, but from subtraction, from quietly removing the things that are draining your mental and emotional energy without you even realizing it?
So here are 3 incredibly powerful things to subtract. First, just remove the need to be understood by everyone. Your peace can't depend on someone else's opinion of you. Second, stop over-explaining your decisions. You don't owe everyone a dissertation on your life choices. And third, and this is a big one, let go of the guilt you feel for evolving. Outgrowing people and places is a sign of progress, not a betrayal. Removing just these 3 things frees up an unbelievable amount of mental space.
Now, subtraction is powerful for sure, but there's one final, even more profound shift we need to talk about. It's not about changing your actions first. It's about changing your identity. Because your behavior will always, and I mean always, follow your belief about who you are. Here's exactly how it works. Don't set a goal to read more. Instead, decide to become the kind of person who reads every day. Don't aim to go to the gym. Decide you are the kind of person who never misses a workout. See the difference? When you change your identity, the actions just become automatic. You don't need motivation anymore because you're simply acting in line with who you believe you are. And at the end of the day, that's what this all comes down to. All the tricks, all the tactics, all the hacks, they are nothing compared to the power of genuine self-awareness. Understanding your own programming, seeing the code behind your actions, that is the ultimate cheat code.
We've pulled back the curtain. We've looked at the hidden psychology that drives so much of our lives. But knowledge is only half the battle. The real question, the only question that really matters now, is this. Now that you can see the code running in the background, which lines are you going to rewrite?